Is that your foot off the bed?
I'm Lyurel.
And I'm Janelle, and you're listening to the Foot Off the Bed podcast. I'm gonna punch every tourist on this fucking, I don't know. Like, first of all, I fucking hate the trains. I told you, like, my commute here just pissed me off because they were like, you know how you look on Google Maps for the directions or whatever. I went on there, it's like, oh, take the B train from the 3. I'm like, cool. At Atlantic. So I go. And I'm waiting for the B train. It's saying it's coming in like 2 minutes. I'm like, cool, because I don't have to wait that long. All of a sudden, this shit says, Q train's coming. I'm like, well, I'm not going to take the Q train because that's going to drop me off at Times Square. I want the Bryant Park one. So I was going to wait 2 more minutes. Then I walk down, and you know how like they have the thing that shows like how far the train is or whatever? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at that, and I don't see no damn B Manhattan train coming. And I'm like, yo, my dumb ass should have just took the Q train. So then I had to stand there for mad long because no Manhattan B train was coming. And then, yeah, everybody was pissing me off on the walk here because like you said before, tourists just act like they don't know how to, like they don't walk. They're just like, I'm just going to stand here in the middle and just block everybody's way.
It was weird because like I was coming down to Penn Station and it was the side where it's like 7th Ave and 33rd, and there's that like escalator that's covered by that plastic dome or whatever, and the sun was shining so bright I could not see getting halfway up the escalator, and I was like, this is where I die because like the beams are like reflecting off of everything. They're coming through the plastic, reflecting off the escalator into my eyes specifically. And I was like, how is everybody just okay with it? But it looked like really picturesque, like a Stairway to Heaven kind of thing. Because I was looking at this other tourist who was Instagramming it, and their phone showed it so nicely. Like it was like a ray of like white light and then the escalator going up into it. It was so weird.
Oh, that actually sounds really pretty though.
It was nice. I was like, oh, maybe I should take my phone. And I was like, nope, let's keep walking.
Then I finally get here. That's what I was about to say. And I was like, clearly I'm dying because what? So you know how like downstairs, well, y'all don't know, but at Gotham Podcast Studio, you know, downstairs they take your temperature before you walk in. And I took my temperature, and that shit said 110 degrees.
Oh!
I was like, am I dying? So then I said, I don't think that's right. And then he said, oh my God. I said, no, I don't think that's right. You're not about to tell me I can't come in here.
No.
So after all of this. So then he takes out his like, the one where you have to like point at their wrist or the forehead or whatever.
Okay.
Not the one attached to the plastic or whatever screen. He like scans me again and it says 97. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not dying. I would be in the hospital right now if I was 110 degrees. Sir, don't look at me like that.
No, one time like it scanned me and it said like what did it say? It said like 96 or 95 something. And that scared me because my normal temperature is like 99.3.
You're normally 99?
Yes.
Damn.
I learned
must
that
be cold.
I learned that from all of this. And every time I came into work wishing I had 100 and something degree temperature so I could go home, it said 99.3. And I was like, damn.
Mine is always like 96, between 96 and 97. So when I see like anything higher than 97, even if it's by like a couple points, I'm like,
One time it was 100.3 or 100.5 or something like that. And the lady taking my temperature, she looked like a deer caught in the headlights. Like she was so scared. She was like, I don't know what to do. Wait here. I'm going to talk to the supervisor. And I was like, I could leave. I can go home.
Bruh. Well, at least, you know, we don't have to think that we're dying because we're fully vaccinated bitches.
Woohoo.
My second shot kind of took me out, honestly.
See, I still don't know if mine did or not. And I'm guessing not, because, like, all that really happened was, like, yeah, my arm hurt. But, like, I felt like I went through life normal as usual.
Really? I had chills. I had all the things. I had chills. My legs were hurting. Like, I just worked out or ran 50 miles or something. And then I never got a fever. I just had the chills. And when my mom, like, at first said she had chills, I was like, girl, what the hell are you talking about? 'Cause she was like, I'm cold, but, like, I'm not cold. And I was like, what the hell do you mean? And then when I finally felt it, I was like, I see what you mean. Like, I just kept shivering, but I wasn't actually cold. It was weird. I think I got a headache at one point, but I wasn't sure if that was the vaccine or if it was just me being a butt. But yeah.
Yeah, like, the lady was like, oh, you'll get, like, extremely tired and, like, you might have a headache or fever or something. And I'm like, well, I'm normally tired and I normally have headaches. So I think the only real thing that happened to me was I went to sleep and slept through the night. I did not wake up once until like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
That was another one. I did get pretty tired.
And my dreams are actually super clear for once. So I was like, maybe that was myself.
Right.
I don't know. Because then, like, going to work, and of course, on the week I get my vaccination, I'm dealing with, like, the worst patients. And from dealing with them, my body became tired. Like, my body doesn't get tired that day. It waits a day. Just like when I go to the gym and work out, it doesn't hurt later on. It waits a day.
Right.
And then all of it feels like my whole body is just like, what are you doing? So I was like, is this from the vaccine? Or is this me? Or is it... This is me constantly, like, just me going crazy in my room. Trying to figure out, is it the vaccine or is it me?
Very well could have been both or neither. There's no in between.
Exactly. That's what makes it worse.
I had, like, just wanted to talk real quick about, like, the fact that COVID-19 is doing terribly everywhere else. But, like, these other countries don't even have the vaccines. And the U.S. is obviously being like the U.S. and being selfish and not trying to distribute it to other countries or whatever. So, like, India is doing terribly right now. And I just, like, keep seeing stories on Twitter. Like, I had to, like, close my Twitter because I was like, it's not that I don't care. I'm just trying to dissociate at this point.
It's too much.
Yeah, I'm like, I saw this one story of this girl who, like, lost both of her parents to COVID. And I was just like, I don't need to be on here. This is depressing. Like, I felt really bad for her.
Because that was, like, what was happening here last year.
Yeah.
Because everybody was being dumb when all the hospitals and whatever were being overcrowded and people protesting the virus and the shutdown. The same things were happening not the same things, but very similar, very disgusting things were happening here, too. And people were just like, nope, that doesn't exist.
Yep. Yeah.
And they still claim it doesn't exist, so.
Yeah, I'm like, all I could do is just hope that they get vaccines and that shit just goes away on its own.
Ever since the beginning of the virus, the CDC has been, like, dropping the ball so hard. And when they were like, oh, you can lift the masks requirement, I was like, all right.
Yeah, they said that, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna still wear my mask because I don't even trust y'all. So no,
like, oh, there's gonna be an honor system. As soon as they said honor system, I was like,
y'all just trying to kill us all out here.
Y'all don't know who y'all, whose country you running. You don't know the people here. Speaking
of dumb as fuck, this fucking. The gas shortage thing is, like, killing me. This is, like, just really showing who's dumb. Like, the Americans are dumb. America is stupid.
Bro, I still don't even understand what that's about.
So, I forgot exactly what happened. Like, I read it, but, like, you know, like, I skimmed through it, like, mainly. But, basically somebody hacked into the machines for the gas.
I'm gonna scream.
Sorry, I can't. I'm like, of all the things to hack into, y'all hack into this shit. Y'all don't hack into Sally Mae fucking system. Y'all don't hack into the banks. No, y'all hack into dumb shit.
Y'all don't hack into my account and give me money.
Right. So when that happened, the gas prices like went, I think, extremely low.
Oh.
People were using that to their advantage. So now there's a whole gas shortage because
I
that
just
happened.
saw like stupidness, like people at the gas station with the bins, and I was like, what?
The people filling they're filling up plastic bags of gas. What the fuck are you gonna do with that? How are you gonna get the gas out? Did you think about this? Are you gonna use a vacuum? Because that's fucking dumb too.
You just got this whole thing full of gas. Now your hands smell like gas. So they're gonna smell like gas forever. And like the bin is gonna forever smell like gas. You can't use that again. And God forbid you spill any of that gas on your shoes. Throw the shoes out.
Right.
And if you're a smoker, good luck to you. One drop is all it's gonna take.
Yeah, it was a cyber attack. It says it right here. This is Fox Business. A cyber attack forced to lock up computer systems of the pipeline on May 7th. The hackers didn't take control of the pipeline's operations, but Colonial shut it down to prevent the malware from impacting its industrial control systems, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, they hacked into it. And they like... Wait, I didn't know this. It says multiple sources confirmed that the company had paid the criminals a ransom of nearly $5 million in cryptocurrency for the software decryption required to unscramble their data network. I'm dying.
Bro, they could have just hacked the cryptocurrency. What?
Right? We all could have had crypto.
What?
Y'all not thinking... Redistribute
all,
the wealth, bro.
I need to know who they is because we need to have a talk about priorities.
Right. Oh my God.
We're just dumb. I can't.
I'm crying. Why are Americans so fucking stupid?
It's like an episode of Archer or something.
I can't believe this is a thing. Yo, this is like, am I in the Matrix? Am I in the Twilight Zone? What's going on?
I'm just waiting for the laugh track, honestly. Just to know if it's safe.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
I can't.
Well, before we start, one last thing. I don't know that much about the situation, but like the Israel-Palestinian conflict, like I keep seeing them, like people are dying out there, and the news is just like doing this whole both sides thing, and it's like, shut the fuck up. Bombing people is wrong in general. So I don't know why you're trying to pick a side. We don't know what's going on. The fuck? That doesn't warrant anybody to like start getting bombed. So
yeah, I saw some of the footage and stuff of like while the missiles were like landing in like Palestine, and I was like, that's super scary.
Yeah, like whole buildings are collapsing. They bombed the Al Jazeera building. And was it? I think it was just the Al Jazeera building, which is like a whole news outlet. So there could have been journalists in there, and it's like
they were like, oh, there are militants inside this building, that's why they dropped. I was like, okay, no. But that's not an excuse. You dropped a whole building, bro.
Exactly.
Like that's like me jumping into conspiracy theories. It's like 9/11 happening, like, oh, they were like terrorists in there, so we dropped the whole building. Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
So I'm like really praying and hoping that shit ends, because I can't stand to see stuff like that. It like really scares the fuck out of me, and I couldn't imagine living in a country where shit like that is going down. Like,
but it's even more scary because like the whole world is dealing with like COVID, and then to have that on top of it is just
too much.
That's too much.
Yeah, this fucking world is crazy.
It is.
Let's get into it. So, Grave Encounters is a 2011 Canadian-American, allegedly true story, supernatural horror film, shot in the found footage style, like Paranormal Activity and the original Blair Witch, because we don't acknowledge that second one.
I don't even remember the second one, to be honest.
Yeah, and the original Blair Witch is the first to do that, like, type of found footage shit. It was scary as fuck. That second one did not do that one justice.
What's funny is that, for me, Grave Encounters was the first found footage movie that I watched. Because I had heard about the Blair Witch, but there was nowhere to watch it. And I remember, like, it was, like, old Netflix, and Grave Encounters was just on there, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Grave Encounters. And I feel like it's something that I saw an image for. Well, yeah, I think I saw an image for it, I just didn't know what the fuck it was.
I gotta tell you, there was a point in time where I was on Netflix just bored and would watch every horror movie that was on the list. No matter what. And that's how I ended up watching, like, the ABCs of Death and that other movie that I told you about, the whole, like, every Chucky. I had no life. I still don't have a life, but...
No, I feel that. In the beginning of the pandemic, I was watching every fucking Hulu and Netflix horror movie they had on there. So, yeah. I need to get back into it, though, because, like, I haven't watched, like, a good horror movie in a minute. I watched something on Shudder like maybe 2 months ago, and then that was it. But yeah. So the footage follows the crew of a newish paranormal reality television program who locked themselves in a haunted psychiatric hospital called Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital. Were you about to say something?
Yes. This is also interesting because this movie came out before Ghost Adventures.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It was like a couple months before it, I think. Because I was watching a lot of Ghost Hunters International because there were no other shows like that. Mm-hmm. It was just, that. And the cable we had a channel that was all like paranormal stuff. No, yeah. And it was Ghost Hunters coming on, and they kept hyping up Ghost Adventures. Oh, this new show that's going to come out, blah, blah, blah. Oh, was that how it happened? No, I think it just came on randomly in the middle of the night, and I was like, what is this? And then I got hooked on it for a while, because the beginning episodes were so cringe. So cringe. I mean, the show's cringe now, but, like, that was real cringe. But, it was interesting to have Grave Encounters start off the way it was, because all you really had was the Ghost Hunters International people. And they were like, it was something to watch for me.
I don't know why I thought Ghost Adventures had been on longer than that. Mind you, I had never watched a single episode. Like, I could have sworn that it was on for way longer than that.
I remember watching it, and I was still in high school. I was on my aunt's couch, and it was the middle of the night. And I remember waking up to their first episode, and I was like, this is something I need to watch all the time. And I watched it faithfully for a couple seasons, and then stopped. Yeah. That's why I was like, I really appreciate Grave Encounters because of its style. And watching Grave Encounters, if you've watched Ghost Adventures, it's like the same, because the main guy has the same attitude as Zach, and the way they pose, and the wearing all the black, and
that's actually what I was gonna talk about too, because I was like, that's weird. But it makes sense, because without even watching any of those types of shows, I have seen that those hosts like to provoke the ghosts and like to be like little assholes, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, you deserve everything you get right now. But so yeah, the hospital's called Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital in the movie, but it's based on the real hospital, Riverview Hospital, a mental institute in, I don't know how the fuck to pronounce that, Coquitlam? I know it's indigenous. I just can't pronounce it. Sorry. In British Columbia, where the hospital still operates, but we'll get back to that. So the show had only completed 5 episodes, and they were there to film their 6th episode at Collingwood. But they all went missing before it could be released, which is revealed like at the very beginning of the movie. The footage they shot was the only thing found, so the public was able to see what happened in the walls of the institution that led to their disappearance. So that's when we start to watch the actual clip of the episode.
When I first saw that, I was so like, oh my god, this is real. Like, just me sitting in my room like, oh my god.
So the host, Lance Preston, had a mildly, like, obnoxious personality, like you said, like, think Zach Baggins in Ghost Adventures. If anybody watches that, like, it's him.
Zach is, like, one of my favorite people because he's so dumb.
We don't know much about the rest of the characters except for their jobs. There's the occult specialist, Sasha Parker.
AKA the crybaby.
Yeah. Yeah. The surveillance operator, Matt White. The token black or / Latino man who freaks out and can't control his anger. T.C. Gibson. Yeah, that was his name, but I don't think they don't fully say his name. They just say T.C. Gibson. Yeah. And the fake medium, was it Houston or Houston? Houston Gray. The crew is invited to Collingwood to investigate the unexplained phenomena that have been reported for years. The hospital warden takes the crew on a day tour and tells them about the hospital's history, including a doctor named Arthur Friedkin, who performed unethical experiments and lobotomies on the hospital's patients before being killed by them, which is, like, not even outside of the norm for those types of asylums, like, back in the day.
Except for the doctor being killed, but yeah.
Yeah. So they do a big show to make it seem as if the place is, like, really haunted. Lance even bribes a gardener to say he saw ghosts in the asylum, even though the gardener had admitted he never saw any ghosts or experienced anything in the asylum.
Because he just started working there.
He was like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? And Houston fabricated feeling sad spirits in part of the room. Like, he was laying it on
he
thick.
made me mad.
It's like, bitch. I was like, y'all really trying to fake this show? But, however, not all the phenomena could be faked. The crew locked themselves inside the hospital for the night and begin their investigation. No paranormal activity occurs within the first few hours until a door slams behind TC. That part I was like, they don't like you, bro.
I call TC, like, the fake Drake, because that's what he reminds me
Yo, he literally do look like him.
And he made me so mad because the way he's acting, you could tell that he was overdoing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, everybody has a mic, and yet you are the loudest person.
The loudest motherfucker in the room.
Which
is why I called him the token black. Because it's like, you the only one going off all of a sudden, getting all angry. Like, damn, bro, they just slammed the door on your ass. Calm down.
Y'all better not be playing with me, blah. And nobody's around you. Nobody's there.
Like, what? So the crew eventually attempts to establish contact with the entities, and soon the incidents become more hostile, with Sasha's hair being pulled and TC being pushed. I think, did he get pushed down the stairs?
Yes, he did.
I was like, that's what you get from, like, being all loud and shit. Calm down.
Like, that was so funny, but, like, they did Sasha dirt. I'm sorry. Sasha.
It was Sasha?
Sasha.
That's dirt. Ugly. I'm sorry. Whoever has that name, I'm sorry, but that's ugly.
Because what's this man's name? Lance. He kept calling her Sash. And I'm like, her name is 2 syllables. You can't shorten a 2-syllable name.
Right.
Sash.
That's like when my name is Janelle, but people try to go like Jan. And I'm like, do not fucking call me no fucking Jan. I will kick you. That sounds so ugly.
Because it's not even like, I feel like that's not even where the emphasis is.
Right.
It's not on the ja, it's on the Nell part.
Exactly, because my name is Janelle. It's not Janelle. And that'd be like if somebody called you Lou. Like, ew.
I actually wouldn't mind it. But I wish people called me that. Because they go all over the place with the pronunciation of my name. There's only 6 letters there, and people are adding extra consonants, extra syllables, and I'm sitting here like, huh?
Like, oh my God, I really hate this one. When people call me Janelle, I'm like, oof. You really think my parent would sit here and name me Janelle? Like, let's think through this.
L is right there in the name. It's in every other language as L.
Right. Like, Isabel. You don't say Isabelli. You say Isabel.
Oof.
Like, come on. So
Anyway.
the crew begins to repack in preparation for I was about to say the warden. The warden. To unlock the hospital, but they notice Matt has disappeared. They split up, stupidly, because why the fuck would you split up? But okay, to search for him. When the warden doesn't return, the crew forces the front doors open, but discover they lead to another hallway and other false exits. I was like, oof, it's getting good. Because I had an idea like that for a script, and I was like, I want to do this, but it was based off of the Winchester Mystery Mansion.
Ooh.
And I was going to do that because that's what they claim that mansion does. It switches doorways and blah, blah, blah.
It doesn't really do that. It's just designed that way. And if you don't know where you're going...
You're lost. You're stuck in there. Like, literally, just for background, Winchester Mystery Mansion has, like, doors that lead to nowhere because, long story short, the woman who made the house wanted to confuse all the ghosts that were haunting her. Because
she inherited the whole fortune. I forget.
It's a gun. A special shotgun. The gun. Or something like that. A special rifle.
She was trying to confuse the ghosts of the people who died from the guns that were made by her family.
Yeah. So the house is like literally constructed in a way that's going to confuse them. But it's like, that would confuse anybody. If she has guests over the house, it's over for them. They trying to find the bathroom, it's done. It's over. They're lost in the house forever. They died.
There was a story similar to that. This guy, I can't remember his name. I can't remember anybody's name. But it was this guy who was like really like messed up. And he had like a hotel that was made like kind of like the mansion where it had like trick doors, trick walls, rooms that you can go into and get locked in and never come out.
What the fuck?
And he would like purposely like trap people in these rooms and kill them. Just for
I was about to say that's illegal, and then you said kill him, and I was like, well,
yeah, it's about to get real illegal. And I remember like I was reading up on it, and the police and they had such a hard time finding like the bodies because of the way the building was placed. It was a lot. I have to look it up later.
Oh my god!
Because it was a lot.
Jesus.
Like the another like true crime thing or whatever.
True.
Crime.
So Lance then realizes it's still nighttime outside the building, even though their clocks indicate that it is well past morning. At this point, the crew is freaking out, and they're still searching for Matt and a way out, but they eventually encounter a girl whose face demonically distorts. I see this fucking gif everywhere, and I'm like, what? This is where it's from? I didn't know this. I've been seeing you for years.
I honestly didn't know it was a gif, but when I first saw that scared the life out of me.
I just wasn't expecting it. I was like, that was the one jump scare that the movie got out of me, because I was like, oh shit. Like, because I couldn't remember that was the gif, but I was just like, oh.
And we have to remind everyone that this movie was made in 2011, so that's 10 years ago.
Right.
So back then, that was a lot.
Right. I'm like, But anyways, as they haul ass out of there, Houston is strangled and thrown to his death by an invisible force. I literally wasn't, like, I was like, did they electrocute him just now? What the hell just happened?
They straight up did not like that man. And with good reason.
Yeah, you're mocking them by acting like you see them in there or feel them in there. If you don't go sit your stupid ass down.
They're all running together. I don't know how Houston got lost anyway.
Yeah,
what happened?
Some doors started being created.
I'm just like, y'all were all together. And then somehow Houston's gone, oh, all right, well.
Yeah. So this is where, like, shit starts to really get crazy, which I thought was, like, the best part of the movie, because I was like, yo, they're really trying to make them feel crazy. Like, they felt crazy. That's crazy. The crew discovers that they've been fitted with hospital ID bracelets with their names on them. They then find Matt, who's been missing the whole fucking movie. I'm like, where did he go?
Honestly, I never paid attention to him in the beginning of the movie.
I was like, who is Matt? Why are y'all searching for him?
when I first watched it and then when I rewatched it, I was still like, who's Matt?
Right. I was like, what is his purpose? What is he supposed to be doing? Who is he?
Oh my god, man. Because I know there's the guy in the I guess he was the one in like the main area with like all the computers or whatever.
Oh, he was the surveillance guy. I
Yeah.
probably said that earlier and my brain farted just now.
Yeah.
But that's like, literally what I did. I was like watching it. I was like, who the fuck is Matt? Who is that? I was so confused.
And Sasha was so upset that he was gone. I was like, relax, first
Right.
of all.
So they find him wearing a hospital gown and like he's insane at this point. So, and they're trying to ask him what happened and he just does not have the capacity to even explain. He's just mumbling nonsense and that the only way to escape is to be cured, quote unquote, by the hospital's residents. And they're like, what the fuck does that mean? Then, you know, obviously shit just starts getting even more crazy. TC's pulled into a literal bloodbath, a blood-filled bathtub by a pale armed entity and disappears with the blood mysteriously gone to. I was like,
That was so good to me because I was like, he's trying to get Matt. Nobody else is helping him.
right.
They're like, TC, get him. And he's like, what? I don't want to go get him. And then he's sitting there like swatting a fly or something, trying to grab Matt's hand. And Matt is like, no, don't touch me. I would have left him alone, honestly.
Honestly.
He looks like he's comfortable. He got comfortable, took off his clothes. He's in the gown now. Like, he's ready for bed. I would not be worried about Matt.
I don't know what the fuck happened to you. I don't want that same. What if it's contagious? I'm not. No.
He obviously is going through something and he needs his space. So I'm not going to take him out of that space.
Right.
Like, I'm going to leave him alone. But they insisted on having Matt.
Right.
I would have left him. I'm sorry, but I would have left him.
Like, all right, big dog.
Once I saw the change, he would have been left.
Then it's like, yo, TC disappeared. They're not even gonna find a fucking body.
Nope. They just took this man.
He got a whole kid and wife at home.
They were going to go get pizza later. Now he can't do that.
Bruh. Then, for some odd reason, Matt throws himself down an elevator shaft. And I'm
Yo.
like, for why? But okay.
So y'all just did all of this and he killed himself anyway.
Right. And he waited till y'all found him to do that. He didn't even do it on his own.
He would have been chilling.
Like, then Lance and Sasha, are attacked by a dark entity and enter the tunnels of the hospital in search of an exit. But Sasha suddenly falls ill and is abducted by a mist. Which I was like, what? Like,
Yo.
I was so confused by that. I was like, what is the mist? What is it? Like, is it a ghost? What the fuck is it?
They just took her. She was gone.
That's a whole nother monster. Like, what is a mist? Why is there mist in the hospital? I could see if they were outside in like the woods or something and the mist took her, but that didn't make sense to me. I was like, what is this mysterious mist?
I don't know. I guess because like they're in the like the basement area and it's usually like pipes or whatever down there. I don't know.
Then it should have came from a fucking pipe.
I that part confused me too. I was like, y'all were chilling and then the screen fogged up and now one person is gone. Like,
Yeah,
no
and I was
sound,
like,
no nothing.
I was also like, what prompted her being ill? Like, was that supposed to just mimic like a possession or something?
I mean, I think it was because the start of it was her getting hello etched into her back.
Right.
Because that would like shake anybody.
Yeah.
So once the skin contact happens, then you're completely vulnerable for anything. Right. Which explains why at the drop of a dime, she was screaming her head off without like warning.
Yeah.
Anything that happened, just screaming. And I was like, several times, I was like, please shut up. Oh my God.
That was too much.
Golly.
So Lance now, after seeing all of this shit in a matter of like minutes, is now unstable and terrified by the constant attacks. He wanders the tunnels alone, feeds on a live rat to survive, which I'm like, when did you suddenly become hungry?
Right, because y'all were in there for mad long.
Like,
no water, no nothing.
Right.
All of a sudden, okay, we're hungry.
I'm like, okay. So he eventually finds a door leading into the psycho doctor Friedkin's, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, operating room, which contains evidence of satanic rituals and black magic, which was also random. I was like, why couldn't he just have tortured them and then that, like, they killed him or whatever?
It's a shame that they found the satanic stuff after the occult specialist died, but, you know, whatever.
Right. I'm like, would we not have known that he was into that stuff?
She really had no use.
Right. I'm like, all of you were useless.
TC's a cameraman. He's shaking the camera the whole time. Not even focused on anybody.
Right. So Lance sees the ghost of Friedkin and several nurses, and they drag him screaming onto an operating table. The camera cuts out for a few moments before it's turned back on by a lobotomized Lance, who says that he's cured and allowed to leave. That also kind of made me mad, because I was like, well, are you actually allowed to leave, or are you just stuck in there now?
That's actually explained in the second movie. He basically chooses to stay.
The fuck?
They make it seem like, oh, he's gonna get out. But in the second movie, because you really don't need to watch it because it's bad. Because, like, I know this one was bad, but, like, it was setting the story or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's okay. But the second movie, God, it was so corny. It's basically just another set of ghost hunters or whatever. And they're like, oh, we heard that the famous Grave Encounters people died here. Or, like, they were missing and they need to be found or something. So they were like, let's see if we can find someone. They end up finding Lance. And he's, like, caveman. And, like, super scrawny, super weird. And I forget, like, he's, like, half naked or something, just walking around. And they're like, Lance, like, are you all right? And he's, like, the leader because all this crazy stuff starts happening to them, like, where the hospital is, like, changing. Mm-hmm. He ends up actually leaving then, I think. It's on Prime or wherever you watched it. I think the second one, too. So if you want to watch it, it is there. There was a lot more weird CGI stuff happening.
Oh, my God.
In that one. Like, I think somebody, like, gets chased by something. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I think that I remember being upset at the end of that movie, and it was because I think Lance was still alive. So I think he ends up being, like, the only person out of both crews to make it out alive.
What the fuck?
Because he's, like, chosen or something dumb like that. And I was like,
that's extra stupid.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, you can catch... I think I watched it on Prime, but it's on a few things. But you can stream it for free on Amazon Prime, Grave Encounters.
Honestly, yeah, when I first, like, watched it, it gave me the scares it was supposed to. Because it was, like, shocking to me at that time. Like, this guy was just picked up in the air by nothing, and then he's thrown down the hallway. I don't know. I think the editing for that time was really good too. The CGI of the face and the person coming out of the bath and grabbing TC and him just disappearing. That was insane. He's like, flip the top, and they flip it as he's saying it, and all the blood falls out, and nobody's there. That was so straight. It was so, like, as gimmicky as it was like, it had some good moments.
Yeah, it did.
Honestly, what would you rate this movie?
At first, I was going to say 5 out of 10, but I think I'm going to give it a 6. Only because, like, the first half of the movie, I really, really enjoyed. But then when it started getting towards, like, the middle to end part, like, more towards the end, really, it was like, y'all lost me. Mm-hmm. Like, the doctor's satanic now, and
it was a lot at the end.
Yeah, and then it was predictable. Like, I knew pretty much everybody was gonna die and not leave out of there, but it was like, it was still a fun ride in the whole beginning part of the movie. Like, I was like, oh my God, this has the potential to be so good, but then they ruined it at the end.
Yeah, that's what I feel as well. Like, it felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was dragging at some point.
Yeah.
And, they found Matt, but then they lose Houston, and then, we're sleeping in this closet for 3 hours, and then we're the patients now.
Yeah.
It was
like, huh?
It was too much. And then Zach, Lance in the tunnels in the basement or whatever by himself, walking and
Yeah, that was definitely dragged.
I was like, you didn't have to waste our time like this.
Right. Then it was like, some parts I had a hard time connecting the dots. Like, I was just like, well, why are they the only ones being haunted? And I was like, well, maybe it's because they came there to, like, not specifically to mock them, but it was mocking to a certain extent that they came in there and, like, we're trying to fake the funk, basically. But I just didn't, I was like, you don't need the doctor to be satanic. You could just have that he just, like, he was just mistreating his patients and didn't give a fuck about them and was abusing the hell out of them, and that's why they killed him. But the whole satanic ritual thing, I was like, this didn't come through.
Yeah, that wasn't necessary.
It was so random.
It's so unnecessary that, like, I even rewatching it, I'm still like, what? Like, he looked over for 2 seconds at it, and I was like, the evil energy is there already. You don't even need that other stuff.
Then, Matt missing the whole... Because I didn't even... Like, I couldn't in general connect with any of the characters besides Lance. Like, the people who stuck around for a while, like, I was like, if they had spent more time with us trying to get to know the characters a little bit, then I probably would have cared about each one of them dying more. But I especially did not give a fuck about Matt because I could not remember him.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I was like, who?
Yeah.
And even TC was like, oh, this man must be high or something. I'm like, first of all, if he's high, he's not saying this stuff.
Right.
Definitely not.
Exactly. But otherwise, like, yeah, like you said, some of the scares were, like, on point. And then, yeah, it was just, like, the beginning of the movie to, like, the middle was, like, really, really good.
The premise was so good because it was like, oh my God, like, who's really doing this type of movie? It really felt real to me when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Like, I really was, like, in belief. The guy was like, this is real undoctored footage. And then he's like, it was only edited for time. And I was like, oh. So this is real person. Real
people.
But then it sparked my love for found footage films. Like, I really ended up enjoying a lot of them, except for the Blair Witch, and I don't know why. Like, I watched the first one, and I was sitting there like, hello? They did the remake. I guess it was like the quality was a little better or whatever. I feel like that was kind of taken away from me because it wasn't like the first found footage thing that I watched. I think if it's your first found footage horror film, then it has an impact. Because then everything else after that is just based off of that. And for me, it was Grave Encounters. That was my first found footage. Before all the Paranormal Activities and whatever, which were still good. I still loved them.
Hella.
They were all like, they were like gimmicky, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
For me, I'd rate it a 7 out of 10, just because of its impact that it had on me. It was a really good movie. I think I showed it to somebody else too, because I was like, you have to watch this. What I was gonna share about the place that they were filming at isn't really paranormal. It's more about the interesting fun facts, because it was a lot of stuff I didn't know. I thought that the place was really name Collingwood. Because, again, me thinking like, oh, this is real. But no, like, that building was actually like 5 different buildings. And they were all like, they were all for different things. Because...
You're talking about Riverview?
Yes. Riverview. In British Columbia. I'm not even going to try to say the other name of the area because I can't.
I was like, I can't.
But they didn't even have like psychiatric facilities for a very long time. And I think the first psychiatric facility in that area went up in like 1876, and it filled up fast. And I'll never understand, like, these people think anything makes you mentally ill, or like, not mentally ill, but I don't want to use the word crazy, but like psychotic, I guess, is the word. They had a building, it was called the Royal Hospital, and it was to house the mentally ill. It only had enough rooms for like 400 patients, and then by the end of that year, it had more than double that. It was like 900 something people. And I was like, how did y'all do that? And a lot of like mental illness facilities had, like, of course, the terrible treatment of patients, overcrowding, poorly funded, poorly kept up, no hygiene, that kind of thing. Patients just getting tossed about. What I didn't know is that they were under like review because they were gonna close down the hospital. They actually closed it down in 2013, 2012, 2013. So I was like, Grave Encounters like got in there at the last second because that movie came out in 2011. Yeah, they closed it down as a mental asylum in 2013 or 2012, and I think it was they were gonna like reopen it in 2013, but everybody was like, no, we can keep it this way. And I think recently they've been demolishing the buildings. There was like, it was a huge place, and then nobody was taking care of it. Like, it wasn't any upkeep to it, so they were just like, let's just tear it down. Then they're like not even gonna redevelop it or anything. They're just like, just tear it down. But what's interesting is that it was a very popular place for films like Grave Encounters, and TV shows like The X-Files. I had no idea that they filmed there. Smallville. I watched a lot of Smallville back in the day. Can't remember any of it because I just kind of like threw that part of my mind away. Elf.
Elf?
What the fuck? Riverdale 2. Not Riverdale 2, but Riverdale as well.
Yeah.
Arrow. Happy Gilmore. Prison Break. Motherland. Fort Salem. The Butterfly Effect. Final Destination 2. And Deadpool 2. Oh,
yeah. I learned about Deadpool, and I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, that's so cool. All these people were at this place because this place is so creepy looking. And they're just like, it's just like a giant fortress. And a lot of these places are like built like that, like the lunatic asylum, the West Virginia Lunatic Asylum. A huge place. They have like all these different kind of buildings, and I don't know why. And they all have just negative residual energy because they house these patients who are mentally ill with patients who they think are mentally ill. Mm-hmm. Then they're not taking care of them. They're not getting their proper medicine. And then when they're overcrowded, you're kicking patients out into the streets by themselves. So you've got like schizophrenic patients running out or getting thrown out on the street, and they have no one to care for them, nobody to give them the medicines that they need to control their psychosis or whatever. And they were saying how a lot of schizophrenic patients like ended up like killing themselves because they weren't able to receive the help that they needed. And a lot of the patients that were just thrown out in the streets like passed away, or just ended up living in the street. And it sucks because like the building was like so much. And then of course when we don't succeed as a mental hospital, we're like, oh, let's be a tuberculosis hospital because that'll make it better.
I'm like, that never made any sense to me.
And everybody's in there hacking up a lung and spreading disease because nobody knows how to like not do that. And patients getting mistreated. It's such a story that like keeps playing over. It's so sad. Like, God, we just don't learn. We don't learn at all.
well, just for like a paranormal tidbit, there's been a lot of reports about it being washed with negative energy and riddled with ghosts. So crew members and security guards claim they see shadow figures, apparitions of former patients and staff, for some reason a phantom dog, and strange lights and objects moving on their own. Some hear disembodied footsteps and voices, doors and windows banging, and patients' bells ringing in empty wards.
A phantom dog?
Yeah, I'm like, why?
What did they do to the dog?
Right. Why is the dog there? Maybe somebody owned the dog and the dog is like there with them. That's all I can think of. Unless it's like a security dog.
Maybe. I'm thinking it's like a stray dog that was just like walking the grounds.
Could be that too, because I'm like that.
And then like just died there, so it just stayed there. But that, I mean, like that makes sense. Like a lot of it like sounds on par.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, of course, with all of that, you have such an enormous building housing all of that negative energy over the years. That's too much.
You kind of touched on some of it. But one like true crime thing I found about Riverview, which is like insane, when they closed, is that they were under fire for things that have been long deemed illegal. So in 2000, they were caught still using electroshock therapy. Ooh. It's like, bitch, that's extra illegal. What are you doing? And in 2003, they and the British Columbian government faced a lawsuit against a group of former patients for alleging they were illegally sterilized between 1940 and 1968.
Oh my God.
So they were among nearly 200 patients sterilized between 1933 and 1968, but the Sterilization Act wasn't repealed until 1973. So, yeah.
Oh my God. That is horrible.
Eventually, in 2005, only 9 women received settlements totaling $450,000, which, I mean, that isn't a lot for what they went through.
That ain't nothing. At
all. I'm like, you were giving people electroshock therapy and sterilizing them. Are you in... What? I found this story on Reddit. Don't know how true it is, but so take it with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. But it says, I am a residential care aide and had the privilege of working with an elderly woman who was admitted to Riverview as a young child. Back then, being considered slow or handicapped landed you there. Mm-hmm. I don't like the word slow, but we got an insight into her time there where she was repeatedly raped, and when she fought back and bit the orderly raping her, they then removed all of her teeth with no anesthetic as punishment.
Oh my God.
It takes a lot of care, knowledge, and empathy to care for someone so severely abused, and to this day, she deals with the repercussions. Mm. It's truly haunting watching her triggers come to life, and she gives glimpses into the hell she endured. I won't tell nobody. Shh, it's a secret. It's like, what? So many fears makes care difficult, especially when her mobility decreases. Things like a sling when she can't stand sends her into sheer terror, having also been tied up.
Oh my gosh.
Then, just like this aide, I can't find, other stories about the several cases of abuse that I'm sure those patients have endured over the years at Riverview. But I found some other asylums that were like doing crazy shit, and I was like, I just have to talk about it because I'm not obsessed with asylum stories, but I'm like, there's no way it's not haunted with all of this shit that's happening here. There's no way. But I've found one in New Jersey. The Trenton Psychiatric Hospital, founded in 1848, was home to the famous Dr. Henry Cotton. He was convinced that insanity resulted from untreated infections in the body, so he thought in removing some of those infected body parts, they would be cured of their physical and mental illnesses. He took over the hospital in 1907 and began removing the infected teeth of his patients, but of course, to no one's surprise, it didn't always cure them. So he concluded that the reason his surgeries were unsuccessful was that the infection had spread too far. So in those cases, he removed other infected body parts, including tonsils, stomachs, gallbladders, testicles, ovaries, and colons.
Bro.
Like, what? Why?
I actually, you actually drove past there one time.
We did?
Not we.
Oh, I'm like, me?
No. But, I think I was with my mom. And we drove past the psychiatric hospital. And I was like, what? And then to hear that this is, it's gross. It's so... anytime it's like a mental asylum, I'm like so disgusted. Mm-hmm. Because even working in a hospital now, like I understand why a lot of patients distrust medical staff and medical teachings and blah, blah, blah. Because the hospitals were always a bad place for them. Because everybody's born in like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. And their hospitals haven't really gotten that much better since then. Yeah. Like, you've got like better technology, and there are more laws in place now where like you can do certain stuff. And patients have rights and all this other stuff. But like, you know, some people are still like assholes. Mm-hmm. And it's just hard to like be in the medical profession and then hear all of this madness happening that other medical professionals with degrees and all this other stuff are doing to people. Yeah. It's just, ugh.
Cotton reported curing 85% of his patients, so naturally everyone wanted to get their unstable children and spouses and family members into his tight schedule. But if that wasn't possible, they insisted that their own doctors replicate Cotton surgeries. So not only was he doing it, but he was influencing other doctors to do that dumb shit.
Oh my gosh.
So he becomes famous in America and Europe. But as he continues his surgeries, the patient's death rate was obviously rising because that shit made no sense. But eventually patients were dragged screaming and resisting all the way down to the operating theater because they knew that Cotton was about to take out one of their body parts. Cotton just brushed it off that the patients who died were already in poor physical condition.
That's so disgusting. Mm-hmm. I get.
Some psychiatrists weren't buying his bullshit and were skeptical of his surgeries. And allegations also surfaced that Cotton was mistreating his patients. So on top of them, like, getting body parts and organs removed, he's like, oh, yeah, no, fuck you. I'm also going to mistreat you. Mm-hmm. He continued these insane surgeries until the 1960s. I found another one that was kind of, like, insane. Only, like, a tidbit, though, because I was like, oh, my God, that's so disgusting. The Topeka State Hospital would castrate their patients, whether they were proven to be mentally disturbed or not. There were always reports of staff beating and raping patients in these hospitals. Like,
oh my God.
And one report at Topeka stated that one resident was confined in leather straps for so long that the skin was growing around the straps.
Oh my God.
That's fucking disgusting. I cannot even... imagine what that would start to look like or what that would feel like.
I don't even want to imagine it. It's like my brain is like trying to imagine it. Like, don't imagine it.
Disgusting.
Because like I've seen some stuff and it's like from like poor hygiene or whatever. Yeah. But to be
disgusting.
And do you remember that story on the news? It was the lady was like in a coma for like forever, and then they found out that she was like pregnant.
Oh, by the guy in the hospital?
Yeah.
That's fucking disgusting.
The guy caring for, or he was one of the orderlies caring for her. She was like in a coma for 13 years, or a very long coma. So where she could not have been doing anything herself. And then all of a sudden she's just pregnant.
Oh my God.
And they were like, what the hell? And like, how can you be so stupid?
Right.
Like, you're disgusting and you're dumb? Golly.
God.
It's too much. The psychiatric hospitals are like, they cut a vein. They cut real deep. Because I always feel for these people because, like, nobody asks to be here or to be born with the conditions that you're born with. And then for other people to take advantage of you for money and clout, it's just so sickening to me. And, like, it's, like, sickeningly interesting, too. Because I'm just like, how far we go? How far these people go to, like, be somebody?
Right.
I actually did want to go visit the West Virginia Lunatic Asylum because it had so much history. Like, it was put up during the Civil War, and it stayed up. It's still up, but it, like, transitioned from different things. Like, it was a war hospital, then it was, like, a tuberculosis hospital, then it was a psychiatric facility. And I think it finally did close down, but, like, they open it for, like, events and, like, ghost hunting and stuff specifically.
Oh, my God.
Which I thought was so cool. I'm like, one day I'm going to go there because it looks so good. I forget, there was a show that was recorded there, which is why I'm always talking about it, but I can't remember which show it was. It could have been Ghost Adventures. I don't know.
Yeah. Asylums are insane.
Yeah.
I definitely want to visit one, though. Because I've read so many, I don't, sometimes you got to take the stories with a grain of salt, but I've read so many stories about hauntings at some of these hospitals that I'm like, I want to see it for myself. I would like to see.
Because there's so much, I feel like there is so much energy trapped in there because, like, people are going through all of this stuff and a lot of people don't make it out alive.
Yeah.
So they end up, like, dying and all of their energy is in that place.
Right.
And it's so crazy to me. So what is up with the lobotomy thing?
I don't know. They've made some theory that if you pushed a part of something with the frontal lobe, I don't know, and when you did it, it's supposed to, like, take the pressure off the part of your brain that makes you psychotic or some bullshit like that. I don't know. But
it's like a mental, like, reset button they think it is.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
Why does it have to be so ridiculous? Why they were just like, we have to be as insane as possible to treat people.
But it's like they thought, at the time, they thought those things worked. But it's like, maybe because I'm thinking with a modern mind, but I'm like, I don't see how you thought that shit would work. But okay. I just don't see how, like, pushing somebody's eye out is going to stop them from being mentally ill or disabled or whatever.
Didn't that happen to one of the Kennedys? The daughter?
I don't even know.
There was, like, a story where she was it the Kennedy? I'm hoping that's right. But I remember, like, she was being regular. Like, she had a boo thing and she was going out late or whatever. Her mom didn't like it. So they had her lobotomized. And
what?
She, like, remained, I don't want to say an invalid because I don't like that word. But she was, like, severely impacted by it and this was not herself completely for the rest of her life.
Jesus.
And they had her, like, locked away. It was like one of those shows that is like, it's like, oh, like, what happened to so-and-so and why is so-and-so not in the picture? It's always some weird, like, Dateline thing that comes on at, like, 4 a.m.
Oh, my God.
But it's crazy, man. These people in these hospitals.
Yeah, it's some of the stories are eesh.
That is all we have for today. Remember, wherever you're listening to, leave us a review and become a member of our Patreon at patreon.com/footoffthebed.
Yeah, you can catch our bloopers and, we'll be checking out haunted places or playing a horror video game. So yeah, check it out.
To get connected with us, you can like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on TikTok at Foot Off the Bed.
Right. And if you follow us on TikTok, you'll be able to catch us telling like short true crime stories that are clearly not long enough to tell on here, and paranormal stories, and, you know, making somewhat funny videos, because I don't think I'm really all that funny, but and
my mom
reading
thinks you're
creepypasta.
hilarious.
Wait, what?
My mom thinks you're the funniest person.
What? Oh, that's a first.
She thinks you should be a comedian.
Oh my god. That's new. And we'll also be reading some creepypasta stories, so I really love creepypasta stories, so I can't wait to do that.
There are tons of them. Like, Reddit is always like, yo, look at this.
We'll never run out of content.
And some of them are, like, corny, though.
Yeah, some of them are really bad.
Like, and then y'all give them corny names, like the Bye Bye Man.
You're like,
like, come on.
That sucky ass movie.
Why this name? Why? Okay, so yeah, don't forget to follow our Instagram too at Foot Off the Bed Podcast. So remember, stay safe.
And don't leave your foot off the bed.